The Desert Ravens were searching for 8-year-old Emma Martinez when they stumbled onto something far darker than anyone expected. Emma had vanished from a playground 3 days earlier. Police had suspects but no leads. Her mother, Maria, begged the bikers for help after the authorities told her to wait for more evidence. "My daughter doesn't have time to wait," Maria sobbed to Jackson, the club president. "Every hour she's gone is an hour I can't breathe." Jackson looked at his brothers assembled in their clubhouse. 25 bikers who'd built a reputation for finding missing children when the system moved too slowly. "We ride tonight," Jackson announced. "Emma Martinez is 8 years old, brown hair, brown eyes, 4 feet tall. Last seen at Patterson Park, wearing a pink jacket and jeans." They split into teams and canvassed the city systematically, door to door, business to business, showing Emma's photo to anyone who'd look. Most people shook their heads and offered sympathy. A few gave potential leads that went nowhere. Around 10 p.m., a biker named Hammer talked to a homeless man named Roy near the overpass. Roy lived in the shadows and saw things others missed. "Yeah, I saw a girl like that," Roy said, studying Emma's photo carefully. "3 days ago, right here under the bridge." "Was she alone?" Hammer asked, his pulse quickening. "No, 2 guys had her. She was crying and they were dragging her toward a white van. I tried to help, but they pulled a gun and told me to walk away." "Did you see where they went?" "They drove toward the industrial district. That's all I know. I'm sorry I didn't do more." Hammer handed Roy a 100. "You did good telling me now. That takes courage." Hammer radioed the information to Jackson immediately. The entire club converged on the industrial district within 20 minutes. Abandoned warehouses, empty lots, and old factories stretched for miles in every direction. "This could take all night to search," Axel said, surveying the massive area. "Then we search all night," Jackson replied. "Emma's somewhere in here, and we're not leaving without her." They started checking buildings one by one. Most were empty shells with broken windows and graffiti-covered walls. But around midnight, they approached a warehouse that looked different. Fresh tire tracks in the dirt, new padlocks on old doors, security cameras that still had power. "This place is being used," Snake observed quietly. "Question is, for what?" Jackson peered through a grimy window. He could see lights on inside and movement in the back. "We need to see what's happening before we breach. Could be squatters or drug dealers." Tiny, who stood 6'8" and weighed 320 pounds, climbed onto the roof with remarkable silence. He found a skylight and looked down into the warehouse interior. What he saw made his blood turn to Arctic ice. Cages. At least 15 metal cages lined the walls, children inside them, ranging from maybe 6 years old to teenagers. Some sleeping, some crying. All of them trapped. Tiny scrambled down and reported what he'd seen. "It's not just Emma. They've got a dozen kids in there. Maybe more." Jackson's face hardened into something terrifying. "How many guards?" "I counted 4 armed men inside. Might be more, I couldn't see." The bikers gathered in a tight circle. This had escalated far beyond one missing child. They'd stumbled onto a trafficking operation holding multiple victims. "We call the cops now," Axel said. "This is too big for us." "And how long until they get here?" Jackson countered. "An hour? 2? What if those guards decide to move the kids before backup arrives?" "What are you suggesting?" Snake asked, though he already knew the answer. "We go in now, hard and fast. Secure those kids before anyone has time to hurt them or run." "That's 25 of us against at least 4 armed guards in a fortified position," Hammer pointed out. "Not great odds." "Those kids don't have time for great odds," Jackson said flatly. "We use what we've got." The Desert Ravens had military veterans among them, men who'd served in Iraq and Afghanistan. They formed a tactical plan in under 5 minutes. Tiny and Hammer would cut the power to create confusion. Jackson would lead the main breach team through the front. Snake and 4 others would enter through the back simultaneously. The rest would secure the perimeter and prevent anyone from escaping. At 12:47 a.m., they moved into position. The power died exactly on schedule. The warehouse plunged into darkness. Shouting erupted from inside as guards tried to figure out what happened. Jackson's team hit the front door with a battering ram. The lock shattered, and they poured inside with flashlights and weapons drawn. "Nobody move!" Jackson roared. "We're here for the kids!" Chaos exploded instantly. Guards reached for weapons. Children screamed in terror. Bikers moved through the darkness with practiced precision. One guard fired wildly in the confusion. Bullets sparked off metal beams. Hammer tackled him from behind and disarmed him with brutal efficiency. Another guard tried to run out the back door. Snake was waiting and clotheslined him so hard the man flipped completely backward. The third guard grabbed a young girl from one of the cages and held a knife to her throat. "Back off or I cut her!" Jackson aimed his gun with steady hands. "You heard her, and you don't walk out of here. Release her now, and you live to see a courtroom. I said back off!" Tiny appeared behind the guard like a mountain materializing from shadow. He grabbed the man's knife hand with one massive fist and squeezed until bones cracked. The guard screamed and dropped the weapon. Tiny tossed him across the room like a bag of trash. The fourth guard was smarter. He put his hands up immediately and surrendered without a fight. Within 3 minutes, all 4 guards were zip-tied and lying face down on the concrete floor. The bikers turned their attention to the children. 15 kids total, ages ranging from 6 to 16. Dirty, scared, crying, some injured. All of them traumatized beyond measure. "It's okay," Jackson said softly, kneeling by the first cage. "We're here to take you home. Nobody's going to hurt you anymore." One little boy pointed at Jackson's leather vest and weapons. "Are you bad guys too?" "No, son. We're the good guys who look like bad guys. Sometimes that's useful." Hammer found bolt cutters and started opening cages. Children stumbled out on shaky legs, blinking in the flashlight beams. Axel checked them for injuries. Most had bruises and cuts. One teenage girl had a broken arm. Another boy showed signs of severe dehydration. And there, in the last cage, Jackson found Emma Martinez. She was crying and shaking, but alive. Her pink jacket was torn and dirty, but still recognizable. "Emma," Jackson said gently, "your mom sent us to find you. You're safe now." Emma looked at him with huge, frightened eyes. "My mom? She's waiting for you. She never stopped looking." Emma burst into tears and collapsed into Jackson's arms. He carried her out of the cage like she was made of glass. Snake called 911 on speakerphone. "This is an emergency. We have 15 kidnapped children at the old Riverside warehouse on Industrial Boulevard. 4 suspects in custody. Send ambulances and police immediately." The 911 operator sounded skeptical. "Who is this? How did you find these children? Does it matter? They need help now. Move!" Sirens wailed in the distance within minutes. Police cars and ambulances converged on the warehouse from every direction. Officers burst through the door with guns drawn, ready for a firefight. Instead, they found 25 bikers standing guard over 15 rescued children and 4 zip-tied suspects. "What the hell happened here?" the first officer demanded. "We were searching for a missing girl," Jackson explained calmly. "Found her and 14 other kids being held prisoner. Those 4 men are your traffickers. You're welcome. You can't just break into buildings and what? Save children? Yeah, we can. We just did. You going to arrest us or thank us?" The officer looked at the children, then at the suspects, then back at Jackson. "We'll sort this out downtown. Nobody leaves until we take statements." Paramedics rushed in, and began treating the children. Emma clung to Jackson and refused to let go. He stayed with her until Maria arrived 20 minutes later. Maria ran through the police line and grabbed her daughter with desperate relief. "Emma! Oh God, Emma!" Mother and daughter held each other and cried. Maria looked at Jackson with tears streaming. "Thank you. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you enough." "Just love her extra hard tonight," Jackson said. "That's all the thanks we need." The police investigation took hours. Every biker gave detailed statements. The 4 suspects were arrested on multiple charges including kidnapping, human trafficking, and assault with a deadly weapon. Detective Sarah Chen interviewed Jackson personally. "You realize you could face charges for breaking and entering, vigilantism, assault." "We could," Jackson agreed. "But we won't, because you know we did the right thing, and so does everyone else in this city. You got lucky nobody died. Luck had nothing to do with it. We're good at what we do." Detective Chen closed her notebook. "Off the record, thank you. Those kids would be across state lines by morning if you hadn't found them tonight." "Then why are we having this conversation?" "Because I have to follow procedure. On the record, you endangered lives by taking the law into your own hands." She paused. "Off the record, you saved 15 children from hell. I have kids of my own. I'd want someone like you looking if they ever went missing." Jackson nodded. "Then we understand each other." The suspects started talking within hours. Faced with overwhelming evidence and desperate to cut deals, they revealed details of a trafficking network that stretched across multiple states. The warehouse was a temporary holding facility. Children were kept there for 2 days before being transported to buyers across the country. The organization had been operating for at least 5 years. FBI agents arrived the next morning and took over the investigation. They found records in the warehouse office showing at least 80 children had been processed through that location. 80 children stolen, sold, and scattered across America like merchandise. The Desert Ravens had accidentally dismantled a major hub in a national trafficking operation while searching for one little girl. Agent Marcus Williams met with Jackson 2 days later. "The suspects are cooperating. We've identified locations in 6 states and made 17 additional arrests so far. We're finding children who've been missing for years." "How many?" Jackson asked. 23 recovered so far. More every day as we follow the trails." Jackson's throat tightened. "Because we found Emma." "Because you found Emma," Agent Williams confirmed, "and because you didn't wait for permission to do the right thing." 3 weeks later, the Desert Ravens received a visit from parents of the rescued children. 14 families showed up at their clubhouse bringing food, gifts, and tears of gratitude. One father named Thomas grabbed Jackson's hand and wouldn't let go. "They had my son for 9 months. 9 months of not knowing if he was alive or dead. You gave him back to me. You gave me my life back." "We were just looking for Emma," Jackson said, uncomfortable with the praise. "You saved my daughter anyway," another mother added. "You saved all our children." The families had organized something special. They presented the Desert Ravens with a custom banner for their clubhouse. It showed 15 children's handprints in different colors surrounding the club's logo. "So you never forget the lives you saved," Thomas explained. "And so we never forget the men who saved them." The banner hung in the clubhouse that night. 25 bikers stood looking at those small handprints and didn't bother hiding their tears. Emma Martinez made a full recovery. She started therapy and slowly rebuilt her life with her mother's help. She asked to visit Jackson 6 months later. Maria brought her to the clubhouse on a Saturday afternoon. Emma looked healthier, stronger, more confident. She walked right up to Jackson and hugged him. "Thank you for finding me," she said clearly. "I drew you a picture." Emma handed him a crayon drawing. It showed a little girl surrounded by big men on motorcycles. At the top, in careful letters, she'd written, "My heroes don't wear capes." Jackson's voice cracked. "This is the best thing anyone's ever given Morgie. I'm going to frame it and put it right here where everyone can see." "Good," Emma said seriously, "because you're a hero, even if you say you're not." The 14 other rescued children stayed in contact with the Desert Ravens over the following year. Some sent letters. Some visited. All of them remembered the night bikers broke down doors to save them. One teenager named Marcus, who'd been held for 14 months, asked to prospect for the club when he turned 18. "You showed me what real strength looks like, not hurting people weaker than you, protecting people who can't protect themselves." Jackson sponsored Marcus personally. "You've got heart, kid. That's what matters most." The trafficking network continued to collapse over the next year. FBI raids freed 47 more children and arrested 63 people across 8 states. Every arrest traced back to that warehouse the Desert Ravens found while searching for Emma. Agent Williams called Jackson with updates regularly. "You started a domino effect. One raid leads to evidence that leads to more raids. We're dismantling 5 years of operations because of one night." "How many kids total?" Jackson asked. 94 recovered so far. Some were missing for years. Families thought they were dead. You gave them back their children." Jackson sat quietly for a moment. "We were just looking for one little girl." "And you found 94, Agent Williams said. "Sometimes doing the right thing for one person helps more people than you can imagine." The Desert Ravens changed their focus after that night. They still rode together and lived their biker lifestyle. But they also became known as the club that finds missing children. Parents started calling them directly when their kids vanished. Sometimes before even calling police, the bikers worked with law enforcement now instead of around them. Detective Chen became their main contact, coordinating searches and sharing information. They found 12 more missing children over the next 2 years. Not all searches ended happily. 2 kids were found dead. 3 were never found at all. But 9 came home alive because bikers refused to stop looking. Jackson kept every photo of every child they searched for on the clubhouse wall. Found or not, alive or not, every child mattered. Every search meant something. Last month, Emma turned 10 years old. She invited all 25 Desert Ravens to her birthday party. 25 massive bikers sat in a suburban backyard, eating cake and playing games with a little girl who trusted them with her life. Maria watched from the porch with tears in her eyes. 2 years ago, I thought I'd lost her forever. Now she's blowing out candles surrounded by family. We're honored to be here, Jackson said. You're not guests, Maria corrected. You're family. You'll always be family. The Desert Ravens rode out that night as the sun set. 25 motorcycles rolling through the city in formation. People on the sidewalks stopped and stared. Some saw scary bikers covered in leather and tattoos. Others saw heroes who break down doors when children need saving. Emma stood on her front lawn, waving goodbye until the last motorcycle disappeared from sight. She understood something most adults never learn. The scariest-looking people are sometimes the safest ones to trust. The Desert Ravens searched for one lost child and discovered a trafficking ring holding 94 victims. One rescue became many. One family's nightmare ended, and dozens more found hope. Wrong place, right time, perfect outcome. Emma came home because bikers refused to wait. 93 other children came home because bikers refused to stop. Some people believe in coincidence. Jackson believes in purpose. They were meant to find that warehouse. Those children were meant to be saved. Sometimes the universe puts the right people in the right place at exactly the right moment. 25 bikers went searching for one 8-year-old girl. They found her and 93 others. They dismantled a trafficking network spanning 8 states. They reunited families that thought reunions were impossible. All because they refused to wait for permission to do what was right. Emma Martinez says it best. Heroes don't always wear badges. Sometimes they wear leather and ride motorcycles and break down doors at midnight because a mother begged them to find her baby. The Desert Ravens don't call themselves heroes. They call themselves brothers who protect the defenseless. The children call them something else entirely. They call them saviors. Emma's crayon drawing still hangs in the clubhouse. My heroes don't wear capes. 25 bikers look at those words every day and remember why they do what they do. Not for glory or recognition, not for thanks or rewards. They do it because children need protecting, and they're willing to be the protection. The Desert Ravens searched for one lost child. They found 94. Wrong warehouse, right timing, absolutely perfect ending.